We're getting some people joining. This is great. We'll give it a moment or two before we dive in here, everybody. Thanks for joining.
All right, looks like oh, we got a couple more hopping on, so I'll just give a couple more minutes, make sure everybody has time to jump in here before we start.
Leslie, thank you. Appreciate that.
Still have people hopping on. This is great. Thank you guys so much for joining. Still hopping on here. All right, well, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Surefire Summit. My name is Claire Taylor. I am the Business Development Representative here at Surefire CRM. And today's session, we will be focusing on lead generating and a purchase market. Joining me today, I have John Hardesty. He is our partnership manager here at Surefire. And I'm excited to welcome our very special guest, William LeBaron, Vice President of Business Development at Monitorbase. William has been with Monitorbase over 5 years before joining the company. He was also a mortgage loan officer for many years, so lots of great experience to share with us today. William, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, we're happy to have you here. And William, to get started, I wanted to give you a few minutes just to introduce yourself to our viewers, tell them a little bit about yourself, and give an overview of what Monitorbase is all about.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So, and I actually saw a few people in the comments that are currently my clients. So I'm very excited to see you guys in the thread. But Monitorbase we are a software that really, it's useful to think about us as like an add-on to your CRM, because we work with your contact databases and work with your CRM. So with Surefire particularly, we've got a system that allows you to, and let me see if I've got my, you know what? I'll skip the visual today just because I'm on my single screen. But we're going to take your contacts out of Surefire and we just bolt on the site and we begin monitoring their activity so that we can tell you who you should be following up with, who you should be marketing based on their actual behavior. So, you know, anyone in your CRM, anyone inside of Surefire, you can get notifications when they do things like have their credit pulled for a mortgage with someone else. You can be notified within 24 hours. You can be notified when your low credit, credit challenge clients or contacts improve their credit and are meeting your credit standards now. These are what we focus on is really the credit side of things. And I know you have some of this kind of database intelligence built into the Surefire platform as well, but we're all about data intelligence on your existing contact database. So just think about it as a way to take your big list of contacts and narrow it down to just the few people that you should be focusing on right now, today, this week, this month. So that's what we're focusing on at Monitorbase, and we offer the data side and the compliance side because there are special considerations when dealing in, credit data and the kinds of things that we give you access to.
John, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, no, I mean, obviously, William, work with you and Louie and the team well. So first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us for the summit. You guys are amazing partners to us, and provides such a crucial add-on tool to Surefire. And I know we're going to talk about more towards the end of our conversation today about, the power of the two together and how that's going to help you win in a purchase market. But it's good to see you, my friend, and thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. It's always good to hear from you, John.
So with the refinance boom we had in 2020, obviously you had leads just falling into your lap from the sky, endless amount of leads. How do you transition to go out and win in a purchase market again? John, let's start with you. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question, Claire. And let's just start with talking about, I think the first thing is your marketing strategy, right? You're going to have to adapt your strategy a little bit to win in the purchase marketplace. So what does that really mean, right? It's, what content are you using to engage your borrowers? How are you going to be engaging them? What's your omni-channel approach to marketing? What levels, what avenues are you using to get in front of them to really pump your brand, right? Because brand awareness is so important in the consumer experiences of knowing you're a trusted resource, you're a trusted advocate, and you're going to get them the best opportunity to make the biggest purchase of their life. So I think the first thing is, what's your marketing strategy, and sitting back and really putting pen to paper and figuring out how we can do that, or using a tool like Surefire to help you get there. What workflows, right? What workflows are you going to put in place to build off of automation? We talk about automation a ton at Surefire, right? Out of the box experience, you're going to have automation, but at what levels are you going to get in front of leads in a purchase marketplace? All sorts of levels, all sorts of ways you need to get in front of them now more than ever, because they're not going to be falling to you like you mentioned, Claire, earlier. I think you have to review your lead sources, right? Whether you're purchasing leads, whether you're leaning into a referral network, all of those things we are huge advocates for. And I guess my last point to winning is, I think you have to lean on education in a purchase marketplace, right? How are you going to educate your borrowers? Some of these, especially the first-time home buyers, right? What tools, what assets do you have to inform them of the process? So they know what they're getting into, and so they can feel comfortable making it and moving forward with you as their lender or loan officer. And I look at Surefire, and a lot of our customers are on this call right now, but I think of the 60, 90, 120 day workflows, right, for purchases or refis. All those things, there's so much education in there that also leads into touch points with your clients and making sure they're informed. So to answer your question, yes, marketing strategy, marketing content, and what do you have in place to make sure your borrowers are informed about the decision?
So, William, how does Monitorbase help marketing teams? How are you getting into those untapped resources inside the CRM and Monitorbase?
Yeah, so I think there's so much value just hidden inside of a database, untapped resources, and first off, I think people could expand what they consider their database, because sometimes when you get too narrow, you think I've got to nurture my current pipeline and I've got to nurture my post close. But your database can be significantly larger than that, and if you'll expand some of that, I think there's opportunity there. But John gave the example of the first-time home buyer. Average first-time home buyers take about 10 months from application to funding. That's the average. And when you talk about moving into a space where things are a little bit more competitive, and we've seen it historically, you're fighting for your deals harder. You have to, because everyone is. And if that shop down the street is no longer as busy doing refis, they're not just sitting around, they're working to get deals as well. And so I think you have to play just a little bit more defensive across the larger set of your data. Your early shoppers, your people that are, you send them a prequal and they're just trying to find a house, and the inventory is so low, they're going to be doing that for months. And so those are elements that I think have to be considered. And if you look at that as a risk, it's scary. But if you look at that as an opportunity, there's a lot of opportunity in those categories that we just don't traditionally think of. So I would say expand your view of just what you'd consider your database, and start thinking about how you can nurture it outside of that. And that's where some of obviously what we offer comes into play as far as our our database intelligence. You give us a list of people and we'll tell you who's in the market or about to be in the market.
So obviously marketing plays a big part of this, right? How does Monitorbase help marketing teams reduce costs, especially around cost per acquisition?
I appreciate the question. So I don't know if you've ever done leads, like online leads, average, and this is pretty common knowledge, average cost for a funded loan, cost per acquisition, ends up being in the $1,200, $400, $600 range. And that is for your efficient operations that have been working those leads and they have systems and they're doing well. Online leads, it's a challenging market and you really have to work them. And so what we're doing is we're taking existing resources, existing relationships, and we're saying, these are the people you should be focusing on. And what it's giving you is a distinct edge over anyone else because you have the personal relationship. So they maybe just had their credit pulled at a credit union or at an online, a Quicken type of institution. And when you get that kind of a notification and you follow up and you have that personal connection, your ability to actually generate business is significantly better. And that's why we see a cost per acquisition around, $100 to $200 on our marketing side of things versus your traditional online lead generation. But, obviously the challenge is we're limited to the people that you have that relationship with. So it's not infinitely scalable. But if you're not already doing something like, an effective, database monitoring system, there's certainly opportunity in that area, and you'll find it significantly cheaper than what you would be able to obtain from an online lead system.
And I think what you said there transitions very well into our last topic. So many mortgage professionals look to buy leads or purchase leads, but what they're not doing is looking at those contacts that they already have. Maybe it was a loan that closed a year ago or 5 years ago. They aren't turning to their own database for these opportunities, which is so important. So John, what does it mean to lead generate, and specifically, how can you win in your own contact database regardless of when that last loan closed?
Yeah, no, of course, Claire. I think that's a great question. I look to like zero-party data, right? Like in your own database, there's so much opportunity, right? So people get so caught up on, I might have won last month or 3 months ago, but how are you engaging that person you sold 5 years ago, right? What are the touch points? Whether maybe your marketing automation is not touching those people anymore, or working with them because they're so outdated. But when I think about this topic, I do think of a Monitorbase. I think of a data tool that's going to work for you in the background, that's going to assess the many things that they do, like Boy mentioned, credit inquiries, applying for mortgages somewhere else, things like that you can rely on a Monitorbase to do that work for you. And when Claire Taylor, who I sold 5 years ago, is ready for a mortgage, I'm going to get pinged in Surefire and saying, hey, she's back on the market again. And all of a sudden, before you can do anything, you've already hit them with an email, you've already hit them with a text message, and you're in front of them again. And all of a sudden, they're right back up at the top of your funnel and selling them, whatever they're looking for. So I think that's one area of a purchase marketplace where we're going to have to lean into. Is who have you built trust with before? Who do you have the relationships with? And what is your tool set, such as Monitorbase, that's going to help you deliver and find the opportunity in your own database? And William and I talk often, but I think this is the Monitorbase Surefire connection. It's truly a no-brainer. Who wouldn't want, let's think about it. Let's not purchase leads. Let's not lean to other people to give us opportunity. Let's find it in the people we've already sold, regardless of how long it's been. And that's exactly what Monitorbase does. So huge advocate and all for it, for sure.
Appreciate that, John. But I concur. The people that I work with at Monitorbase that are using Surefire have a fantastic experience with that ability to just automate. Because if you're considering, when you're just saying, do more past client outreach, just generally, it's difficult because you don't know, do I reach out to everyone, one time? Do I reach out to one person a bunch of times? It's difficult to do outreach without context for why you were reaching out at that time. And getting the context and then pairing that with amazing marketing automation like Surefire offers, you can reach out with the confidence necessary to do the 1 or the 2 or the 3 or the 4 touch points that you need to get in touch with that person. And it just takes the guessing out of it. So instead of doing a lot of outreach to everyone and then feeling like you're bothering people, you're following up to the people that you know are in the market. It helps you focus a little bit more, and then shape your messages, specifically for what that person is in the market for. And there's real value to your partners as well, because your referral partners are struggling with the same thing as we're talking about here. And your access to systems like this and your ability to nurture intelligently with good automation is going to be a huge resource to them, and it's going to strengthen your referral partner relationships, which I think is something that we could all go back and focus on just a little bit. It's been a busy couple of years, and when you're busy doing refis and purchases and your underwriting lines are slow, they had, there was some neglect there. I think there could be some focus in that, and you're able to achieve that right through, just doing the right things out of your own systems. So that's kind of my thought addition to that.
Yeah. And I'll add one more thing to that, William. I think you mentioned referral network, right? And yes, like Surefire has content specifically for your referral partners, right? We have markets in a minute. We can easily generate single property sites for listings for real estate agents. But re-examining, again, going back to that marketing strategy, re-examining that as it relates to your referral network is something else that's super important as we move into this marketplace. Is you have to lean strategically on the people you trust the most and give them the tools. So from our case, right, it's content, it's the markets in a minute pieces, it's single property sites, so much more we can provide, but those are the people that are going to help you find opportunity as well. If it's not in your database, you're going to have to lean into your referral network to find it.
Absolutely. William, do you have any additional thoughts that you'd like to add?
I would just say really any system that you're using, whether you're using Monitorbase or not, that bi-directional integration is a huge win. The ability to have automation set up, workflow set up that just work in the background, I just can't overstate how important that is. You get busy and things slip, because when you're busy, you handle the things that are on fire in front of you. And relying on automation, I think if anything, I hope we learned that over the past 18 months or so, the importance of that. And so you're not just going to spend some time when you're setting something like this up. It's not just time spent saving time, this month. It's actually a great investment into the future. And I think that kind of automation, it's going to pay dividends every single month.
Awesome. Thank you, William. Well, John, anything you want to add before we close it out?
No. The last thing I'll say is William, thanks for joining us and being such a great partner. And yeah, this was super informative. It was great to have the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Claire.
Yeah, thank you, William. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so happy to have Monitorbase as part of the Surefire Partner Network, and that our clients can take advantage of such a great partnership and integration. Thank you to my co-host, John, and to everyone who took the time to join us today. If you have any questions or are interested in learning more, you can always contact us directly at sales@topofmind.com or William directly at william@monitorbase.com. Stay tuned. Up next at 1 p.m. Eastern, our friends over at Simple Nexus will be joining us for the Surefire Summit conversation to talk about how to elevate borrower experience to drive demand. Thanks, everyone, and bye for now.
See you, everyone. See you guys.
See ya.